Okay. I want to take everybody back in time. I know I'm going to date myself here, but those of you who, like me, are able to do so, think back to 1995 and your desktop. Remember that jungle of ads that you'd see scrolling down AOL? Remember how long it took your Netscape to load? If you don't remember, don't worry, because you can experience 1995 today. Just open your phone and start shopping. Are you frustrated because mobile sites are often slow? Are there key elements on those sites that fail to load and prevent you from doing what you wanted to do? Or that evil spinning wheel that just never stops spinning? Many of these issues are caused by site or app owners who just haven't taken control of the tags or third-party elements that exist on their mobile platforms. How much do you know about the third parties running through your mobile sites and apps? Did you know that your mobile site probably has at least 42 different distinct companies with tags on its pages? These companies offer you a lot of benefit. They can help with things like retargeting, audience segmentation, display, video ad delivery, and analytics. But if you only know who a fraction of them are and they aren't properly monitored, they can slow down your mobile sites and apps, vastly disrupt your user experience, and create a privacy risk. I want to show you guys a video clip that Evidon participated in at the request of CNN. And as we watch it, think about what they're saying here in terms of a privacy message, but also the broader message here about user experience and customer loyalty and how both of those go to brand reputation. The clip is about 2 minutes long, and then we'll continue from there. All right, so apps are collecting our information. And while they're doing that, at the same time, the m-commerce, so the retail mobile market, is exploding. So these two things are happening at the same time. How does that affect you and your relationship with your consumer? Well, one of the biggest things that causes you to lose that consumer in the mobile experience is slowness. Slow sites and apps are so frustrating for the mobile user that a good percentage of them will leave your site and never come back. Worse, over 26% of them will leave your site and go check out your competitors. But improving your site is hard. Mobile sites and apps require new technologies, new vendors, new third parties that you may not know of in your display space because they don't exist there. The early days of apps were very daunting for companies. As they raced to develop new apps, they often chose to outsource them. Even within their same company, they would outsource various website apps to different companies. And this really inhibited their ability to have controlled reporting across their apps. And it led to companies not even being aware of the third parties that were often running through those mobile sites and apps, who they might connect to, and it makes it very difficult for them to then go and improve the performance and data collection when they're blind to these companies. So today we want to give you some ways to solve these problems. We want to provide for you a map, what to do in order to take control of the tracking in your mobile environments, improve their performance, while also protecting your consumers and gaining their trust. In the Wild Wild West, the map was an essential guide. Without it, a traveler is blind and at the mercy of their surroundings. The map of trackers that we can provide for your mobile sites and apps is the same. We'll review a couple of examples of this today, how to use the guide, stop working blind, and gain tag control. Once you do, you'll see more conversions, you'll increase your customer base, and really help in terms of building brand loyalty. So let's look at why this is worth the effort in the first place. Why does mobile matter so much? The mobile world is growing fast. There's growth everywhere, in mobile retail, in purchases, advertising spend, and growth in conversions across the mobile platforms. We're on track to do over $25 billion in m-commerce this year. Also this year, we're on track for 15% of all retail sales being done through a mobile device. In the U.S., for the population under 40, 73% of us own a smartphone and 36% a tablet. We'll talk more later about why you need to know more about this particular group. And then this is a great stat. 74% of people in the U.S. who shop on their mobile device go on at some point in some way to purchase. That's a huge conversion rate. And m-commerce is growing at the expense of retail on the desktop. So desktop is declining at a similar rate that mobile retail is increasing. So the market is growing, and that's great, but it has a performance problem. Mobile is slower, which is an extra big problem because people expect it to be as fast as the desktop, if not faster. People expect apps and mobile web pages to load in 2 seconds or less each page, the same expectation they have for websites. 74%, 3/4 of people will leave your site, your mobile website, after waiting for it to load for 5 seconds. And 16% of those people won't come back. And like we said, even worse, 1/4 of them go to a competitor site. So keep in mind, the average retail mobile site takes almost 10 seconds to load. If 3/4 are leaving after 5 seconds, you're losing a lot of shoppers. And those are just the abandonment numbers. So let's think about brand reputation. When your mobile site or app are slow, 23% of users, it's been shown, will curse at you for waiting for it to load, and 4% will actually throw their phones, thereby not only being angry at you, but then becoming even more angry when they have to go to the Apple Store and pay $150 to get that piece of glass fixed. So what's the lesson? If you want to grab the growing mobile market, whether it's through e-commerce or a larger customer base, you must take control of your apps and your mobile sites, or you will lose revenue to your competition. So why are we talking to you today? We at Evidon recognize the gap in the big data world. While the digital marketing landscape was filled with companies who are providing you with audience data. How old are your consumers? Where do they buy? Where do they live? There was no company providing good information on the ad techs themselves. Who here has seen Moneyball? I hope most of you. It's the same problem that Billy Beane solved for. We, the digital ad world, were operating blind because we didn't understand that in order to make the world work better, to bring in more dollars, we needed to analyze the companies, and that this was just as important as studying the behavior of the consumer. So how do we do this? We do this through Evidon Labs. What does knowing more about the ad techs on your site and controlling them do for you? It will improve your site performance, increase your ROI, and help with brand reputation. So how do we address this? Evidon offers 3 solutions. One that addresses consumer privacy, another that will improve your site performance, and a third which gives you the information you need about the digital landscape in order to make better marketing decisions. How do we do this? It starts with Ghostery. Ghostery is owned by Evidon. It is a free browser plugin that can be used by anyone. It's been downloaded by over 20 million people worldwide, 10 million of whom have opted to become part of our member panel. What that means is they send us back data, not on themselves, but on the scripts and tags, the third-party elements that they see on every page that they go to as they browse the web. Because it lives in the browser, Ghostery has great penetration into websites. It gets behind login pages, into conversion pages, and can give us a full picture, in essence, of all tracking that's happening across the web. We take this data, and then it is given a workout by our data scientists and turned into reporting that we then give back to brand, publisher, and marketer clients. Across mobile, we have solutions for both mobile websites and applications. So I want to walk you through a few examples of those. We'll do this through a journey, through the dry and dusty wild, wild west of mobile. With number 1, who's the new guy riding into town? Know the vendors who have presence on your sites and your apps. 2, if you aren't quick to the draw, you lose. Improve latency across your mobile websites and applications. And number 3, who's guarding the bank? Make sure your consumer data is safe and that people feel properly notified of any data sharing. So number 1, who's the new guy riding into town? Know the vendors on your sites and in your apps. With the wild, often hurried development of apps and mobile websites, companies have not always done a good job of organizing the third-party vendors, each of the companies that you see listed here, that are running through their mobile sites and apps. This is a map of RTE.ie, their mobile site, and it shows you how each of the third parties on their site are connected. There's a good chance that RTE is aware of all this the first ring of calls, if you will. So all of the companies coming right off of their server, shown with the large purple dot. What they may not know is as you get farther down into the chain, you'll see RTE going out to Google AdSense, going to DoubleClick, and then you'll see all the parties called in by DoubleClick. Many of these are probably unknown to the host site, and each of these companies have access to consumer data. So it's important for RTE to understand who those parties are, what they're allowed to collect, and what they're doing on their site. Additionally, many of these companies were probably placed by RTE on the site, and they need to know that those are performing well. So this is across a mobile site. Next I want to show you this. This is the same kind of view, but across a mobile app. And this is showing you all of the tracking companies that are coming out of the WebMD Health app and who they're connected to. This can be much harder in an app space. Evidon was lucky enough to acquire a company called MobileScope that gives us complete insight into tracking across mobile apps. It's very hard to do. Apps run on a much different technology platform. They're often cookieless, and it's much more opaque. It's also more of a problem for companies because they don't have a very good way of monitoring all of this third-party activity. Many companies don't know who all of these third parties are coming in and out of their apps because of the technological differences. And often, like I said earlier, in the zeal to develop these and get them done quickly, they often enlisted third parties. Could have been two guys in a garage in California to build their app for them, and they didn't properly control for who was going to be allowed to have access to consumer data within that app. So this is something that the companies have been approaching us very regularly on lately because they need insight into this. One reason they do, and this is another view, only in this case what we're doing is we're taking a series of 5 apps, and these are 5 apps across the same company. So this is a CPG, a very large CPG company, and it's showing you for each of these 5 apps which companies are coming in and out of that app. Now, they very much wanted to know this information because they actually had over 250 apps, and they wanted to try and centralize the data so that they could report across apps and have an idea of users, information, who is visiting each app, who are these people, how are they connected across apps, and similarly, what third parties were coming in and out of each app, and how are those connected. They needed to audit this so that they could get all of their data onto one platform and be able to better report and also maximize performance. Our reporting additionally shows for all of the trackers found on each mobile website or app who that company is, what they do, any information on their data sharing and retention. We also tell you about any cookies that were dropped by that company. Everything you need to know to better understand what that company is doing in your mobile site and mobile app and what kind of data they're collecting. Lastly, you need to really understand latency because if you aren't quick to the draw, you lose. It's estimated that retailers lose over $1 billion in revenue per year due to slow mobile sites and apps. There's a high correlation between the number of elements or third parties on a mobile website or in an app and their latency. So even those tags that you've programmed to load asynchronously, meaning after the page has started loading, are important to consider because they can still slow down the experience. And they also, in many cases, will block key elements within that site or app that the user wants to engage with. So monitor your slow tags. Look at where they exist, potentially in a long redirect chain. So in this example here, this is a latency view of what we were looking at earlier. It's showing you the elements on their mobile website that are particularly slow. Keep in mind, in order to reach, say, that red turn element, you also have to wait for the 3 previous ones to load. So in this case, it would go from RTE, you have to wait for their server to load, then Google AdSense, wait for them to load, then double-click, wait for them to load, and then turn. So you have to pay attention to not only how slow each element is, but how slow is the chain that it's involved in. Both of these will dramatically affect your site performance and your user experience. Once you've improved performance, be sure to continue to monitor for slow elements. Don't let any of them disrupt your carefully streamlined mobile strategy. The second thing to think about in terms of latency is that we can show you not only how slow a given tracker is across your mobile environments, but also how slow they are across the web, providing you with a useful benchmark. The wealth of our 10 million member panel provides unique and real-world experience of latency, meaning you're getting the wealth of data of 10 million users and how they truly experience latency, not a machine located near a server that's optimized to show you the best latency experience possible. So don't lose that $1 billion. protect your revenue, identify slow tracking elements, streamline your site and your mobile apps, and continue to monitor. Number 3, who's guarding the bank? Protect your consumers' data and they will trust you. Consumers, as we continually find, want options for opting out and controlling data collection across websites. Among our GoStreet panel members, 67% of Americans and 72% of Europeans choose to block some type of tracking. They're concerned about privacy, and if you respect that concern, they will think much more highly of your brand. How do we offer solutions for this? Evidon is a global provider of the Ad Choices icon. It's a little blue triangle that appears in most online ads, and it offers consumers information about the companies that are collecting their data within that ad and gives them the option to opt out of that data collection if they wish. We also provide the icon to ads in both mobile websites and on mobile apps. Our app solution is simple, easy for companies to use, and has been adopted by many of the leading global mobile ad networks. So how do we do this? We have 3 major solutions for mobile. The first is in-mobile website advertising. The second is in-mobile application advertising. And the third is on mobile websites for companies themselves to disclose any data collection that's happening on that site. So first, we're going to look at mobile website ads. As you'll see here, Evidon, you'll see the little blue triangle that's pointed out in the corner of the ad. Evidon delivers this icon on a mobile optimized website, and the user clicks on the icon for more info. They're then sent to a menu where it tells them of any companies that are collecting data through that icon, and through the little checkbox that you'll see in the lower left, gives them the option, or sorry, the lower right, gives them the option to opt out. Very simple. Within apps, it's a very similar process. The user sees the blue triangle, clicks on it in the ad. They're then prompted, if they haven't already, to download our free app called Ad Control. And once they do so, they'll then have the option of opting out of any of the tracking that's going on within that ad. It's a very simple solution. It requires only one tag that works across platforms and devices, seamlessly delivering the right experience to the user, meaning once they've opted out of TapAd across within this ad atmosphere, they're then opted out of TapAd across any other app that they go to. They don't have to do anything different in order to be opted out of that tracking. It's a very streamlined solution. There's no SDK installation required. It's universal, so there's no single ID or opt-out approach required, and it works in all environments, apps and mobile browsers across iOS and Android. Lastly, for mobile optimized sites, this again is the solution where site owners can have a notice within their mobile experience that notifies users of any tracking that's going on within that site and gives the user the option of opting out of that tracking as well. It's a very simple solution as well. It's managed by Evidon, so we provide all of the tools for you to do that seamlessly within your mobile experience. All of these solutions will go to protecting your brand reputation and keeping your consumer trust by offering good privacy disclosures, something that we know consumers want and wish they had more of during their digital advertising experiences across the web. So we've shown you how gaining tracking control improves mobile marketing strategy, performance, and brand trust. Now, before wrapping up, I want to take a step back and show you how our macro level data can inform your marketing mobile strategy and help you understand where to allocate those mobile marketing dollars. Your mobile data strategy needs to be different from display. Not a novel concept, but why does it need to be so different? Because the companies involved are different, they behave differently, and the mobile space is changing so quickly. And I don't just mean that from a consumer experience, I mean all of the third parties, all the companies involved in ad delivery across mobile are changing daily. This graph shows daily impressions for the Facebook Connect widget. So that's the F widget that you see all throughout the web, the F icon, and versus the Twitter icon and the Google Plus icon. And we're showing you total impression volume for each of those icons on a daily basis. So how many people throughout the world see each of those little widgets each day? As you can see, Facebook dominates. We at Evidon measure around 9 billion impressions a day just for the Facebook icon. So Facebook has a lot of impressions, a lot of reach across the web. We all knew this. But what does having their Connect widget all over the web do for their mobile strategy? Everything. Their tag dominance throughout the web has translated into a very effective mobile strategy. Google, which had a decade head start on Facebook, along with the advantage of having tags on the vast majority of every website in the world, accounts for about half of all mobile ad revenue. But Facebook comes in at a very strong 15%, well ahead of anyone but Google. In fact, mobile ads now account for 41% of Facebook revenue. Facebook has grabbed a significant share of the market in short order as well. In 2011, they offered no mobile ads at all, and in the first year of selling them, had already begun to take in nearly 10% of all mobile ad revenue in the U.S. They could do this because their data strategy, their mobile data strategy, coordinated all of that Facebook Connect data from throughout display with their mobile ad delivery. They studied how to control the data flowing through their display and mobile environments, made sure that they had control of that data, that it wasn't being taken by another third party, and made sure that the performance of each was as fast as possible, streamlining those tags and making sure they were fast. They then succeeded in reaching users while strictly monitoring both to make sure that that performance stayed as fast as possible. So tame the wild, wild west. Mobile phone and tablet use is the largest growth area in media today. 25% of online shopping will be done on a mobile device by 2017, and that's conservative. Maximize the revenue opportunity for your companies with better speed, streamlined performance, and increased brand loyalty. Let us show you who's running through your mobile environments and help you protect your brand. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amy. So everyone, if you have questions, now's the time to just at least indicate in the Q&A or chat area on the right side of your screen, and then I'll open up your lines and you can ask your question directly. Just so you can just simply type, hey, I have a question, and I'll see it. In the meantime, while you're typing, solutions, like talk about, you know, I know you guys, you know, have this analytics suite and package, but, you know, how should, you know, marketers and agencies be thinking about, you know, analytics when it comes to mobile? I mean, are we still talking about impressions? I mean, as things get closer to, you know, being able to track, you know, conversions to sale, you know, what are you finding is helping, you know, folks get traction when they talk about, you know, sort of selling in mobile programs and or trying to justify what has been spent on mobile programs?
Yeah, actually, it's an interesting question. I think there are a lot of different things that people need to be looking at. And certainly, I think traditionally a lot of the initial way that people were looking at these is very similar to the way they did across display, where they were looking at a lot of the same segmentation and user performance kinds of issues. Obviously, that can be a little bit harder in the mobile environment, especially in the app environment.
Mm-hmm.
But there are quite a few really good tools now for looking at that kind of audience data. What we want to stress too, though, is that it's really important to be looking at the performance, potential data leakage, and then also the privacy issues that are associated with all of the mobile environments. But in terms of effectiveness too, you know, I think that's also something really interesting to look at. There was a report out this week about the effectiveness of Facebook advertising on Android versus iOS.
Okay.
And it turns out that iOS was over 1,000% more effective in terms of ROI. And they actually, by looking at this information more closely, determined that a lot of the Android advertising was achieving a negative ROI for them. So it's, as I said, it's changing very fast. And I think we're just now starting to incorporate a lot of the analytics tools we need in order to create more effective marketing campaigns.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The other thing that was interesting, you know, when you were talking about the, you know, the tracking that's on websites that people don't really know about, are marketers, are you able to sort of decide what tracking you can put on your website or what you don't want on your website? I mean, do marketers have that kind of control, particularly if they're building e-commerce sites and or, you know, their own, you know, company websites?
Oh, definitely. There's over we're currently tracking over 4,000 different companies in this space, whether, you know, that's everything from retargeters to ad networks to analytics companies. But there's a lot of options out there, and each marketer can decide and should decide which one to use. Part of our function is to help them decide which is the best one to use. So for your particular vertical, what are the best mobile ad networks and what kind of volume are they getting? In your particular area of the world or an area that you want to target with a certain campaign, what are the best retargeters or networks in that space? Which are the ones you should use and why? So that's one of the main areas that we help people with.
Okay, very cool. We have a question from, and I hope I'm saying your name right, Kian Wu from Essence. I don't think you're dialed in, so I don't think I have access to unmute your line. But her question is, she has a two-parter. One, in the iOS environment, IDFA is a privacy-friendly identifier. If marketers are only using IDFA for retargeting, do they need Evidon solution? And two, around slide 25 to 27, what's the difference between mobile web on slide 25 and slide 27? Are they both mobile web ads?
Let me go back. 25 to, okay, yes. So 25 is a mobile website ad, and then 26 is a mobile app, is within a mobile app, and then 27 is also a mobile website. But this is, so there's two differences to the mobile website advertising. One is mobile website is an ad within a mobile website. That's what this is. So this is an Allstate ad on Angry Birds, and the icon is being served in the Allstate ad, and it's telling you about the tracking that's going on within the ad. On 27, this is Reuters doing what we call site notice. So they're letting you know all of the tracking that's going on through the Reuters website, mobile website in this case, so that you can opt out of any of that mobile website tracking across Reuters. Does that make sense?
Okay, okay.
Okay, and sorry, will you repeat the first part of the question?
Sure. The first part of that was in the iOS environment, IDFA is a privacy-friendly identifier. And so the question is, if marketers are only using IDFA for retargeting, do they need Evidon's solution?
Yes, because what we then offer is giving the user the ability to opt out of tracking if they want to. So we are then giving the user, we'll give them a list and we'll say, okay, here are the 6 companies that are associated with data tracking within this ad. And here, using our sliders, using these little on-off sliders, the toggles you see here, we will give you the ability to turn off that tracking if you wish.
great.
So it's giving them direct control.
Okay, very cool. Are there any other questions? Oh, and Count says thank you.
Oh, great. You know, we work with a lot of agencies directly on this program. We provide over 80% of all of the ad choices icons that are delivered across the display or mobile environments. So agencies are often key partners in that business.
Mm-hmm. Another question I just wanted to throw out, you talked about the tags, and so we kind of already talked about this in terms of this mobile apps that marketers let onto their site. Do they also have the opportunity to blacklist or whitelist specific tags? You know, sort of. Can you talk about that, or do they get notified when, you know, is there any notification that happens when, you know, tags are added to your site or tracking is added to your site?
Yeah, that's a great question. We offer an alerting service that tells you, allows you to build both a whitelist and a blacklist. So you can then say, okay, here's the list of trackers that I've decided I don't want to ever appear across my display or my mobile websites. And if you find them, you need to alert me, and we do that. We also can do the opposite, where they say, here's my whitelist. These are the only approved vendors across my site or my app. If you see anybody else appear, let me know. We do that for latency, too. So if any particular tag or page exceeds an accepted level of latency that's set by the client, we then let you know and say, hey, look, you know, this page, which is, you know, normally only 3 seconds to load, is coming in consistently at 12 seconds. And we let them know that right away so that they can then go and remediate that as well.
All right, very cool. Are there any other questions out there? If not, I think we're going. Oh, one more question. What is Evidon's panel size on mobile?
That is an excellent question, and I actually am not totally sure of that right now. I need to go back and actually, Rob, if you'll take that person's name, I will find out what it is. It's something that is growing daily, and I should have checked it before I joined the webinar today, but it's growing very fast, and I need to check and see what that number is.
Yeah, is it north of what, you know?
It's
can you round number?
It's in the hundreds of thousands, but
I
need to. Yeah, it's been growing very rapidly, but I need to check and see what that number is.
I'm sorry, and is your panel international, or is it all U.S. based?
Yes, so the panel is international. It's 40% U.S., 40% Europe, and 20% rest of world. It's actually very popular in Europe too, whereas you know there's a lot of privacy concerns.
Okay. Yeah.
The panel is doubling just about every year. So Ghostery's only existed for about 4 years, and we're seeing an 100% increase in panel participation year over year.
Okay. All right. Cool. 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 Yeah, I will get that name of the person who asked that question. You can follow up with them directly. Yeah, we're going to let everybody get back to work. Next week we are doing a webinar on licensing, how to leverage licensing if you are the licensor or the licensee. And then on November 5th, on-pack promotional challenges at retail, solutions thereof. Should be a really good session. BAA members will have a chance to, as ever, join the webinar for free, and hope to see you all back here. Again, want to thank Amy and the rest of the team there at Evidon, and look forward to having you guys back here again next week. Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon. Bye-bye.